we said we would do it, and therefore we are back.
Is that how you start?
Yeah, with a brand new, fresh whiteboard. The Plat Chat Power Rankings are back just before the beginning of the season, and Custa has drawn numbers 1 to 20 on it. Just flexing for the camera, honestly. Just flexing there.
I'm impressed.
Right, so I think to start with, we should take a look back at, honestly, just what my eyebrows look like. The absolute appalling state.
We have 33% more eyebrows than we did last time.
That's true, actually. So this shambles of a power rankings that you can't even see properly.
It's not 33. It's 50% more eyebrows.
What?
It depends if you're...
Because before we had 4, and then we added 50%, which is 2.
Take it away. Take it away. Take it away.
Do you not know math? We had 4 eyebrows.
But we didn't.
Then we added 2, which at the time was 50%. And now we have 150% eyebrows.
But I had a certain amount of my eyebrows.
Yeah, I knew exactly. He had...
Look, there's still some eyebrow there.
Yeah.
You don't even know math.
Okay. Well,
this is why I'm half an engineer, not a full engineer.
Custa can count 1 to 20, and that's about it.
Hey, you take those.
All right, I've done my analysis.
All right, so this shambles of a whiteboard that's absolutely brutally set up, crossed out.
I think this is perfect. I think you can see clearly who is exactly where they need to be.
Right, yeah. Fantastic.
Except for Valiant, obviously.
Well, if those are the kind of standards you're going to be setting on the desk, I think me and Bren have left it in horrible hands, honestly. All right, but let's...
This is some serious Papega rankings.
I feel
like the title doesn't lie. Like, why the hell is Toronto number 12?
They're pretty Papega. I feel so much worse about Toronto.
We talked ourselves into that one
way
too much.
Okay,
Who did that?
Here's the way that I want to do this. There were some roster moves that actually happened while we were on break, and there were some times where we brought out, like, I think Chengdu and maybe even the San Francisco Shock, and like Houston, we just beat them to Jexa being signed. So I want to go back through some of these teams. We'll start at the top with the Shock. They signed Ants. Ansan Sniper, this Widowmaker.
I thought it was ANS.
No, well, it's short for Ansan Sniper. It's like an area of... Is it like an area of Seoul, or is it an area of Korea?
No, the anus is a part of the rectum.
I feel like Johnny's going to be no help during this entire thing.
Do you think a Widowmaker specialist, before we even get into the hero pools discussion at all, is a Widowmaker specialist actually going to help the Shock in any way? Does it change them at all?
I think it's a really good player to have because he comes into the team not expecting any playtime, but in the situation that he does need to play, then I think he can step up.
Okay, Custa. Do you think Philadelphia needs Chipsa?
I think. Did you listen to Christopher's explanation of why they picked up Chipsa? I think it's a good reasoning.
Okay.
No. The point was you could literally just take what you just said and apply it to a Doomfist player.
Yeah, and I actually like hearing that their coaches, that is exactly what they're doing with Chipsa. I actually like that reasoning. It's a player that's more than happy to sit on the bench.
Yeah.
Someone who can do other things for the team other than just play.
A black hole of salary.
Yeah, exactly. But, Philly, they don't care. And I think it's really good for, a player like Chipsa gets exposure. And in the chance that Doomfist does come in, he can step up.
All right, so it's not going to change Shock from the number 1 position, though.
No. Right? They don't get worse with ANS.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the next next couple of people actually to get to are Atlanta. We knew that they were signing 2 extra supports because they said they wanted a 12-man roster. They've ended up picking up Kodak and Fire. Does that change anything for them particularly?
I don't think they're better or worse.
Do you think that you don't think they're better or worse than Massa and Dogman?
I don't think they're better than.
I think they're quite significantly worse.
But I think we don't know that. Like, I think contenders players, they have the potential to step up. Like, I wouldn't rank them any higher, but
Yeah, I mean, Fire is definitely solid. Like, he could play for an Owl team, and I think he should have been picked up earlier. That being said, I think he's a perfect player to round out a 12-man squad for like internal scrims.
I feel the same about Kodak, right? Like Kodak, I wouldn't feel great if he was the starting player, but I think he's a great person to have depth on the bench.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right.
What an emotional roller coaster for that guy. Like starting for Atlanta in season 1, then getting benched for Dogman, being sent to contenders, and then being picked back up
and potentially benched for Dogman again.
Yeah, like what's the next step for that guy? Like, what's the next step for Kodak?
The next step for Kodak is for him to bench Dogman. It's the actual revenge story. It really is. It's the Atlanta revenge story.
I can't believe he's going to kill Dogman.
Okay, the next thing to take a look at, though, is the Shanghai Dragons. Now, the Shanghai Dragons, we said... we rated very highly, but we were always worried about stand 1.
Yeah.
And they've actually picked up another main tank here. They've picked up Fearless.
A bold move, Cotton. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right. What's your thoughts here?
I think I haven't heard from him since he played for the Shanghai Dragons way back when. So
So just to fill you in, he played, I believe, for Team CC, which was the academy team I think it's the academy team for Shanghai. And he played for them in Chinese Contenders. He looked all right. He wasn't lighting the world on fire, but he looked pretty good.
Look, I thought Roshan was aggressive, but Fearless is literally fearless. He's the most aggressive Winston I ever seen in Season 1.
Isn't that perfect for Shanghai? With their current insane, aggressive DPS-powered team?
I think it's a fine addition. Like, okay, who else are you going to pick up as a main tank? I assume Shanghai did their due diligence and they actually trialed, because there's a lot of main tanks that didn't get picked up from contenders,
I completely disagree with that sentiment that Shanghai Dragons is an aggressive team and therefore they should sign an aggressive main tank. I think Gamsu was like the perfect fit for this Shanghai Dragons team.
Just did his job.
He was able to contain space for his team and just set his DPS players up. I can't even talk. I'm so tired. I'm trying to quit caffeine and it's not working. But Ding and DM shined because Gamsu set them up for success. And so if you plug in a player like Fearless, he's going to demand resources, they're going to be more aggressive, and Ding and DM, I don't think they will have the same amount of space or the same amount of resources. So I actually think would be quite a downgrade from Gamsu. And I don't really like the stand one pickup either. So I'm so down on the Dragons. They should not be fourth. They should not be fourth at all.
The only hole in their team is their main tank.
No, it's not the only hole in their team. I actually think they're missing a lot of stuff on this team. And you guys are looking at me like I'm crazy.
No.
But I'm not actually high on Shanghai Dragons at all.
Okay, wait there then, because here we've got to our first disagreement from our past selves. Is that we talked ourselves into the Dragons and we did all agree that the only hole was the main tank. So what other holes do you think this team has?
Well, I think that, of course, DM, he's an incredible McCree and Widowmaker. But I think there's certain hitscan heroes that he just not super capable of playing. And then,
what do you think DM is not capable of? I think he's probably one of, if not the best hit scan player in the league.
And that's okay. And not only that, but you have Fleta backing him up, and then we saw Lip.
Fleta is arguably washed up.
Okay,
No. He just isn't. Okay, he has never been this superstar player that we thought he was based on his Apex performance, right? He was
actually sick in Season 1 of 2018, and he's never repeated it.
On Widow.
He's never on Widow. Only on Widow and Farah
as well.
Widow and Farah, yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
But he's got no worse at either of those two heroes. He is still sick at those two heroes. Now, there are other Widowmakers in the league who are better than him, like DM, so he's probably not going to see play time on Widowmaker. But you put him on, McCree in the playoffs recently, absolutely pounded when he played against the Guangzhou Charge.
I mean, we'll see what happens with this roster. I'm not really high on it either. Isayaki and Luffy, they're mechanical gods, but they're not really the tier 1 kind of flex support either. Lee J. Gon is obviously a huge boon for this team, and I think it's a great addition. But I can't see. The tank line is so garbage that Void will never be able to make a semifinals of the Overwatch League ever. He's just a regular. Void is a regular pickup for if you want to make the quarterfinals, if you want to make the wild card matches. That's what Void is good for. Void, his name is only carried by his performances in Chengdu, and then on Gladiators he did fuck all. And he's not that great anymore. You've got a terrible tank line,
he's
going to set up his
He's at
DPS.
Least average in the Overwatch.
Yeah, he's at least average. But
right.
so why are they fourth? Why are they fourth on the power ranking?
I think if you put all 4 of those players together, they technically have, I would say, the best DPS lineup in the league.
Yes, I would also agree. I think that is maybe even overwhelming.
And I think they really shined because of their tank line last year, and I don't think they'll have the same support this year.
I don't think if they take the focus off of the tank line and the tanks just sort of exist and don't complete.
Wait a second. You think they shined because of their tank line?
Yeah, their tank line. That's how the game works. That's how the game works.
No, I'm not talking to you. I'm getting secondhand aftershock seizures from what Jonathan was saying.
That's how the game works. The tanks set up the rest of the team. They control the space. They set up the DPS players.
They were playing triple DPS when they were their best. They played with one tank. That is one tank. They were at their best when they had no tank line.
We're in Rollock now.
Right, yeah, and that is a fair criticism, but it's not a fair criticism to say they were carried in the past by their tank line.
Okay, they didn't always play Wrecking Ball. Okay, they were good in Stage 3, but they didn't only play Wrecking Ball for the entirety of the year.
No, but they did when they won. They were not a top 3 team at any other point in the year apart from Stage 3.
Wait, so
So what I'm saying is the stage in which the Shanghai Dragons look their best and the stages in which they'll look their best in the future is when DPS absolutely have the ability to.
Yeah, okay, but then you can't just oh shit, there's a word for this, but I'm caffeine
deprived.
Oh my god, yeah, there's a word for it. Like, just because they were good in that one specific triple DPS meta, you can't just say that they're like an incredible team besides that. So we have to judge all of the stages before we can realistically say that they are going to be good this year.
That's why I really like their changes, though. Like, other than the tank line, we can all agree that the tank line is
other than 33% of the team.
Well, it's not 33%. I disagree with the Void problem, because I think this tank line needs to be just a bit above average, and this team will be very solid. So unless Stand One and Fearless both shit the bed, which is actually possible. But I've been watching a load of VODs of Stan One, and I actually think that he's pretty decent. I went back and watched a bunch of his contenders VODs, and the guy's pretty talented. Like, he can play a bunch of different heroes. He's not as specific. Like, he isn't much better at his Ryan than he is at his Winston, compared to his Ball, compared to his Orisa. He's just pretty talented on all of them. He's had a good year this year. So I don't feel that bad about Stan One and Fearless. I think between the two of them,
one of them is capable.
Yeah, one of them will be fine.
Yeah, and like... That's the thing about this team as well, is they just have to be fine. They don't have to be great. They don't have to carry this team, because I think their DPS and their support lineup, especially with the addition of Lee Jae-gun, is solid.
Keep telling yourselves that.
Okay, all right.
We'll see how it turns out.
Let's move on. So the next top team that made a change, though, was the Dynasty. The Dynasty with Badoshin was added. Right? And so I actually think, and I don't mean that this is because of Badoshin being added, but I think we were a little bit unfair on Seoul. And this is one of the teams that I would personally, when I look back at our rankings, want to rank quite a bit higher.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is that I think coming into this offseason, I had the mindset that they had just wasted their opportunity to make an ultra super team. But their team is still really good. Apart from, there's like a couple of holes, the same as there is with Shanghai. But I think this is the kind of team that should be around like the 6th or 7th kind of ranking compared to the 9th where we put them.
No, see, this is where I'm going to disagree. I think all of these players aren't going to get significantly better than where they are right now. I don't think any of them are going to have this breakout year where they just suddenly become awesome. And I think a lot of people are rating these people where they were when they're at their best. A lot of these players haven't really seen a lot of success in the last year and a half. I understand it was GOATs, but I don't see this team stepping up against these other like top 5 teams that we're talking about. I would say, like, I'm happy. Where do we put them? 9th?
Yeah, 8th or 9th.
I think 8th or 9th. I'm happy to keep them at 8th or 9th. I don't think this team is going to have a breakout year. I don't think they have the players to have a breakout year.
See, this is where you're sort of killing yourself. You're defeating yourself with your own argument, is that you're saying like they haven't been good for the past year in GOATs and Double Shield, but that is because I think these players, well, primarily Prophet and Gesture and Badoshin even, I think they flourish in a meta where it's like very, like a lot of flow to it. They get to be creative. Hero pools I think is going to be a great addition for this team. And I consider them very talented people. Like, they're the kids in school who are just shine based on talent.
Naturally
and they get like
talented.
they get their C's, they get their B's, but they never get the A because they don't give a fuck and they don't care to study. Like, they don't care about detail.
Yeah,
they don't care about the specifics. They just want to have fun, and I think their hero pools is going to allow this team to really break out.
The former London Spitfire team didn't really care about detail very much, especially with Ocean as their shot caller. Whenever the game got more complex, they didn't keep up with it, but they could pound you when the meta was just starting out, or when it particularly fit their strengths.
Yeah.
So I agree that Hero Pulse is going to be good for this team. But even you just look at this roster and run it down. If you say that Marvel is starting instead of Gesture, which I think is fairly likely, I think that this team looks fairly solid across the board, and the DPS line of Prophet and Fitz could giga slap.
Yeah. And I think that's where I disagree. I think a lot of your argument is coming from year and a half. Like, we're talking about the London Spitfire that won season 1. I think when you're looking at the Prophet and Badoshin, you want those players back, right? Those guys that used to slap people around. And as you said, they just did it with swag because they were just doing it because they could. And I don't think this team is going to hit that sort of peak again. I don't think the individual players are going to hit those peaks again.
You don't think that Prophet
will do Prophet things. I'm talking about everyone else on this team.
But who is everyone else? Because I think Marvel will be a very good player still this year. I think Prophet will be a very good player. I think we've only seen the beginnings of Fitz. I think he's still got time to rise.
I just don't think Fitz is very solid. And like, if I was gonna like put a a team on here, I think it'd be Profit and Illicit, which is solid. Like, I'm not
really.
arguing
You would rather run Profit and Illicit rather than Profit and Fit?
I think both are pretty. I would rather have Profit and Profit, as I said last time, right?
Of course you would. Everyone would.
Yeah, and that becomes the issue. Is like I don't think their tank line or their support line is remarkable. I think they're solid, and that's why I want to put them 8th or 9th. I just don't think I can start throwing them in the top 6.
Okay, interesting. So we move on down to another team then. Spark have changed some things around. Not many things, and I don't think that it'll make that much difference, but they've added 2 new Chinese players to the mix. They've
Which
added
doesn't
Mika and Coldest.
Like, why?
Mika, like,
do you want
Mika
Gushue
is
to have friends?
a main
what's
support,
happening?
and I doubt that he's going to get time over Yveltal. Thinking of the totally different team here. Over IDK, because IDK is so talented.
And everlasting synergy of like you're trying to bring 2 Chinese players into a team that I think speaks English.
No, they speak Korean, right?
Honestly, I've never got a straight answer on this. I've asked the team a couple of times, and I think they speak some mixture of English and Korean because Gushue started and they started speaking English, and then I think they found it easier to teach him little bits of Korean. And I think they speak some kind of weird
and that becomes my issue is like, that's probably fine when you have one player that is, all he has to understand is keywords and all that kind of stuff. But you start adding, let's say they start playing three Chinese, 3 Korean, all of a sudden I think communication becomes a massive issue on this team.
Well, I don't think they ever would. I don't think that we're going to see Mika take playtime away from IDK. I think IDK is too talented. But what I could see is Coldest taking time away from Bebe. Because I think Bebe is average in the Overwatch League, maybe even slightly below when you factor in how many nutty flex supports there are in the league. And Coldest is one of the most promising new talents coming out from China, along with Molly, who went over to Chengdu in the flex support position. He's genuinely very, very good.
I listened to Tactical Crowds, though, and then Volamel said he had watched some VODs, and that he's very resource-heavy. Like, you have to put a lot of resources into Coldest to make sure he pops off. So that's a bit of a concern how he fits into this system.
Yeah, I would also imagine though that for the team that he was playing on, Coldest was one of the best players, like a standout player. Yeah. You tend to give your resources to those players.
Must have been one really good Moira.
He was that right click like really strong.
So when I saw other people making power rankings though, a lot of people were not a lot of people actually, but a few people like Wolf and were ranking Hangzhou Spark very highly. And they finished top 4 last year. They were 4th, maybe occasionally trying to punch into the 3rd best position for a number of months last year. And they ended up finishing 4th place overall in the season, in the playoffs.
I think this is a huge wild card, and it deserves a lot of context as to why. So, do you remember last year, before the season began, how everyone said that Hangzhou Spark was the best team in scrims?
Yeah.
And they were destroying teams. And then everyone started playing GOATs, and they started to suffer because No Smite and Gushue couldn't adapt to the GOATs meta quick enough. So that makes me think, is this one of those teams that is really going to flourish with hero pools? Because in my mind, they have some incredible DPS players, mechanically speaking. I don't think they're the most talented. I don't think they're with Profit or whatever. But they definitely have the talent and the mechanical skill necessary to be a good team in the Overwatch League. So I wonder how hero pool is going to affect this team.
I think that's interesting because the rumors, as far as I'm aware, about the Hangzhou Spark clapping people in scrims were because Buzzy was just annihilating people on Widowmaker at the beginning of the league.
No. I remember scrimming this team, especially going into the league. The thing that they were the first team in the sort of GOATs meta to play Rhea hyper aggressive. And it was something that we didn't understand how to deal with because no diva plays like that. What would happen is every time there was an engagement, back then everyone would just sort of like clash. But what they were doing is they were flanking Rhea into your backline instantly and trying to get on your Zen and stuff like that. And it was so the thing I like about this team is I think they know how to, they have their own players and they have their own style and they'll run it. And I think the reason they were successful at the start is they had this idea, they had this strategy and it kept working, but it only works as well until it.
Well, I scrimmed this team when they played Dive and it was scary. I'll tell you about that.
But my issue with this team as in the DPS line is that I haven't seen Bazzi play anything good apart from Widowmaker. He played Tracer a little bit in Contenders before he got brought up into the league. But apart from that, he's basically been a Widowmaker one trick.
You'd play Godsby on Widow, wouldn't you? Over Bazzi?
I would say, but Bazzi is like he's like a flashy. Yeah. Godspeed's very solid. Bazzi's very flashy. He'll go for the big picks and stuff like that. I don't like Bazzi played a little bit of the Doomfist at the end when they were playing in the playoffs. So I wonder how big his hero pool actually is because he didn't really get utilized that much last season, and he hasn't shown that much. He used to be a flex support, so we really haven't seen that much of his DPS even in contenders before he was picked up. But Adora, every time I've seen him play DPS, I just haven't been that impressed.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it was a Brig one trick for a year.
Yeah, I think Brig might be his best hero.
And that becomes it. I think the issue that comes with, especially with hero pools coming into the game, it's really hard to know how flexible players are a year after you have to be flexible.
Yes,
because we've been playing Ghost for so long, we've been playing Double Shield for so long. It's really hard to understand where everyone's hero pool levels are and what they can do.
Also, Team 4, why have you called it hero pools when that has already been the decided upon name for somebody's like the amount of heroes that they play? Like now we're talking about their hero pools in hero pool. It's
what do we call them now? What do we put someone's hero adaptability personality?
Don't know. I've given up on it. I've given up. I will say whatever Master Jeff tells me to say.
What if we call it hero bathtub?
For some people it's a hero puddle, isn't it? So maybe we'll just go back to that. The Chengdu Hunters, they have also made some changes, and this is the team that's actually changed the most from when we reviewed their team, because they have always had this issue where Eamon has never played Winston professionally, and so what the hell do you do when you rank this guy? Can he just play ball the entire time with a sprinkling of Orisa and Reinhardt in there as well? And they've picked up Ating, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Ating.
No, this is obviously British. Ting,
mate. Yeah.
It's a ting, mate.
So this guy fills in the holes that Eamon isn't known for, but I don't think that he's another Gushue. I don't think he's going to blow everybody's mind, but he at least fills in that gap.
Yeah.
Molly is the person that I'm most hyped for because he's very good flex support, and I thought that honestly Gary and Kyo didn't really do that much last season from the flex support position.
You mean Yveltal and Kyo? Those were the main two people that played support for them.
Sorry, Yveltal was their main support though. Kyo and Gary swapped over with flex support, right? So Kyo and Gary, whenever one was subbed in or the other, I felt like they did all right, but they weren't anything spectacular. I think now that they've got a bit more firepower at flex support, this team's got they're dangerous everywhere.
And that's the thing that I like the most about these guys' changes is they have all the problems and the holes that I would have said exist within the Chengdu Hunters. They've picked up someone within that role or dropped someone, Gary's not in the team anymore, and they've added Mayan Lengsa. They have Leave on DPS. I don't know how good these players are, honestly.
Yeah.
But I think if they are anywhere near better, you got to put this team higher than what they were last year.
That DPS line is so stacked.
Yeah.
Leave and Jinmu.
Leave is nuts, and I don't think we really talked about him that much when we went over it last time. That guy could easily be like a Rookie of the Year candidate, right?
For sure. I think you put Bacon Jack, Jinmu, and Leave. Like, where's your hole in that team? I think they really hit pretty much every market.
Yeah, like a really strong hit scan, really strong tracer. I know that Bacon Jack was known for his tracer, but I don't think he was playing in the Pacific Division, right? I don't know whether he can really stand up to, your Sabi Orbis of
the I mean, he played some last year, and it was just...
Yeah, but I think they'll just overwhelm people with aggression, and especially when we've got the intense travel schedule and the hero pools with nobody's really going to be able to master a meta.
Yeah.
There's not going to be that same level of stability, perfection, cohesion. It's all going to be a little bit messier than it was last year, and this team just thrives in the mess.
Yeah, that's a great point actually. That Jinmu and Leave just has so much more potential to just thrive with chaos, like playing teams that are like tired, teams that have traveled in Asia for like 2-3 weeks, and they just want to go back to the States, and then Jinmu pops up around the corner, and they just takes you down with Hangzhou, and it's just great times. Like, this is a very exciting team.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Sure. I think that this team's made some nice additions from who they just picked up. Another team to mention that I don't think has really done that much whatsoever, Paris. I think they picked up FD God when nobody was looking. I think we had already discussed their team, but yeah, they made another addition here. Now, FD God is a pretty decent main support from what I've seen. Like, he's all right, but why would he play over Cruz? I feel like Cruz is so crucial for this roster. It's got
wow. Crucial?
No, that's not a pun. Crucial.
Yeah, but it's a pun.
It's not. No, it's
crucial.
No.
He's crucial to this team.
Okay. Well, someone needs a coffee, please. Bren, could we get a coffee?
One coffee,
One
please.
coffee.
2 shots, please.
I don't think this makes any difference.
I think I still have problems with this team with the identity of Korean head coach with a lot of great Korean players, but then you just have a full European roster behind that.
Yeah, I mean, you're a French team, add more French players, profit.
And I honestly think FD God is a PR move.
Yes,
sadly.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, a lot of the French players on this team, I think, are.
Yeah.
The other thing that we didn't talk about that much last time, though, is the coaching staff.
It's fully Korean.
Well, yeah, I mean that's true, but 9K does speak completely fluent English. Rush, though, as far as I'm aware, does not speak any English, and he is the head coach. So if it's gonna go through 9K,
this is a really good coaching staff.
And it is a very
that's
stacked
what a lot of
coaching
people
staff.
brought up when we did this this video is that they do have a very good coaching staff, and you can't disagree with that. I just want to know how it works with this roster. Because as I said, I think you have a massive European side of this roster. I think if they just added like a couple of more Korean players and they went full Korean, I think this would be an incredibly solid team.
And how the coaches work with hero pools. Because if they're fielding some European players and they have a full Korean full Korean coaching staff, it might actually be hard to improve your players during hero pools because it's so chaotic. Because coaches typically work on like the details, like they study hours of VODs and they just narrow down like perfect rotations and play styles and player rotations, for the backline, like we spoke about Rhea. And I don't think they'll have the same amount of impact when it comes to hero pools and changing comps during the game.
I agree.
Because
I think
it's a bit more up in the air.
A lot of people said, okay, I think Avast had a famous clip recently where he was like, all right, Overwatch League coaches, you have basically coasted up until this point. It's time for you to actually earn your money in hero pools.
Yeah.
I think it's less on the coaches this year.
I agree.
Yeah,
because players now have to make all of the decisions in-game because there's no time to prep. The coaches just have no time to prep. Like, Jesus himself could descend and not understand what to do with hero pools.
I think you're going to need from coaches is you're going to need more strong coaches that are willing to stand up to players and be like, don't switch to this character. You don't have this kind of impact. And like being strict and keeping the players in line, because with hero pools and how scrappy the game is going to tend towards, it's going to be important to have some form of like cohesion and some sort of like discipline within the team. So coaches are going to really need to put that on their players.
Yeah. Okay, so that's Paris. The other team, the one that everybody wanted us to talk about because we released the video the day before they made the change, is your old boys, the Houston Outlaws. And okay, we said that the Jexa pickup was the one that made the most sense, but does it make the most difference to this team?
Unlikely. I think
the Houston fans, they're begging for some scrap of hope that their team isn't going to get worse in the standings despite making improvements.
Well,
they don't deserve to be down at 17th, 18th, 20th with these improvements, do they?
You ain't getting it from me.
Yeah, you're not getting it from me either. I think it's okay. Like Jexy is like a minor upgrade, I think, or like I think he is better than Boink, but
an upgrade.
Yeah, but I think like with this team, with the synergy, I think synergy goes down, but skill goes up. But eventually, you end up at some sort of like medium level.
I think it's really unfortunate that Hero Pools has dropped for Houston.
Yeah,
because
they don't have a flexible.
They don't have a team. Yeah. Like they at the moment have a collection of players. They're trying to develop a team, and I think Hero Pools is going to benefit the teams that already have the fundamentals down. You need the fundamentals down so that you can pivot from meta to meta, so that you can make the changes easily. If you don't have the basics of team coordination and communication and not understanding how the rest of your team likes to play and what their style is, you are going to flounder. And I think this is good long-term moves for Houston, building towards the future. Better than Dallas has done, even arguably, but I don't think that it's going to translate into results in 2020.
Yeah, I remember I watched like a Thorin video like years ago, and he made an entire video just differentiating between synergy and teamwork and how there are different factors when you create a team and how players play off each other. Like synergy is way more organic in that sense, and I think that is going to be what is more required from teams and players this year with hero pools, because you need that organic synergy between players to just
intuitive understanding.
Yeah,
of what
they have a
people are
flow
gonna
to their play. I think teamwork and practice teamwork is going to matter less, because what you do in practice won't matter as much as what you do in game, because now with hero pools you have to read the game a lot more like in the action during the live gameplay, and
you have
don't
like
necessarily
4 days to scrim.
You don't necessarily
beforehand.
get to practice all of those scenarios before you go into a new weekend with new heroes, and so I think synergy is going to be way more important. And as we look at this roster, I just can't see how that synergy is there between Jexay, Meko, Rappel, and pick your poison of DPS players. Like, that's not to say any of these players are bad. Like, obviously we look at this page of players, and I think a lot of these players are really good and Overwatch League worthy or whatever. But it's going to be an incredible task to get them to have established synergy between each other and actually pop off.
I think the difference that exists as well with this team is, when you were talking about Seoul, we said, you got your Jesters, you got your Prophets, you got your Abadosins. Those are the players that you go into hero pools, play whatever you want, and I think all three of those players, they're going to do something.
Yeah.
I think this group of players, I'm like, can they all play something? If their character is banned, the one that they're known for, do they have the diversity? Are they going to, not only the diversity to play it, but to pop off on it? And that existing with your synergy argument, I just don't see this team sort of thriving in this situation.
I do think that they've made changes for the future, though. I think it was necessary to get out of the rut that Houston Outlaws were in with their old roster. Even if their old roster had done better in 2020.
Did they really get out?
I think they've broken away somewhat. I think they've got halfway there. They're inching their way out of the rut. They've potentially only got 2 players from that former roster. They could run, in fact, they could run with 0 players from the former roster. In theory, they could run Blase Hydration, and then they could run, it would only be Muma that was there from the previous roster.
I think my issue, they still have the same management, kind of coaching staff here and there. They picked up Harsher as head coach now.
Yeah, they got Dream as well.
The problem about their transformation is it feels like the bones are still there.
Yeah.
Which is the problem when you're that low. Sometimes you just got to gut everything and throw it out and then pick up something new.
Talking about teams where the bones are still there, and I think that we were maybe a bit too easy on them before, the Dallas Fuel. Because this team, I just keep feeling worse and worse about, honestly. They haven't made any changes. We've gone through all the teams that have made changes before.
Well, they added Crimso just yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, sorry.
Which I think is a good addition. I think Crimso is a player that deserves the shot. Unko, I think we can all say, in his former glory, was very solid and very good. But is he at that level anymore?
Is his heart there?
That's it. Is he really? Does he want to play for Dallas anymore? Does he want to
Has his mental been absolutely crushed by 2 years of people sucking salaries out of his organization and
that's it. So I think Crimso, bringing a contenders player, someone who has everything to prove, who wants it more potentially.
Yeah, and I from what I gathered from playing with Crimso, I actually scrimmed with him once, is that he actually has incredible mechanical skill. He's very good at the game, and I think he was in contenders for a bit because he perhaps... I don't want to say he had issues, because I don't think he had issues. I think he needed to learn a bit more how to refine his teamwork and how to play, with his team a bit more. But from playing with him, he has incredible mechanical skill, really good on Ana and really good on Senyara. And so, without a doubt, I definitely think he's an Overwatch League capable player. So we'll see how he fits into this team.
I hope he doesn't end up with the long list of players that end up in the bin by joining Dallas Fuel.
Yeah, but I'm really intrigued to see what all of these Envy players does, because we're starting to get to the point where Tailspin has coached so many of the Overwatch League players who were promoted to the Overwatch League, and so I'm wondering if there's a thread of...
What, the Tailspin curse?
Yeah, there's not a curse, because all of those players were promoted to WoW.
Oh, right, I see.
Yeah, so I'm like...
I thought
they got
promoted to Dallas and their careers died.
No, I wonder if Tailspin is the mastermind behind the scenes who's just
who's building up all these players.
Yeah, building up these players.
Going into bad teams, management, coaching, all that kind of stuff.
God, it must be nice to be able to talk English.
What?
You're just way better than me at speaking English.
He's lacking his caffeine today.
Yeah.
He's struggling.
Well,
okay,
sorry, mate. It's like what, 9 p.m. No, I'm not.
Okay.
It is 9 p.m.
So now that we've gone through all of the teams, I think we need to start setting up our rankings again. Jonathan, can you bring up the previous rankings? Could you bring up that YouTube video? Because I've already closed it and I don't have access to a keyboard, so I can't open it again because we're in the scuff house at the moment. So that's what I'm doing to get around it.
Well, Shock is number 1.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Let's start early. Shock number 1. I'm going to be doing this horizontally because I don't have the space to stand up like we did last time.
Oh my God.
Screeching.
Shock. Yep, Shock is definitely still number 1.
Boston is number 20.
Yes,
I think Boston is number 20. I mean, is there an argument that Boston should be moved up? For me, there isn't.
No, I don't think we can change it. I think there are teams that could definitely step into that role.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, like a bad Dallas, a bad Houston, a bad Paris, a bad Toronto. Like,
by the way, let's be smart because this is a Sharpie again.
It's a Sharpie again.
Oh yeah, it's all we had. Okay, I don't know. It's like, don't worry. Apparently, according to YouTube, in every single video, a million times, if you write over it with a dry eraser, then
okay, Custa, do you have a dry eraser?
Okay, so we're putting Boston at 20th.
Because why wouldn't we use a dry eraser if we had one?
What?
Yeah, I mean, we did last time.
All right, so number 2 or 3. Okay, I'm the host now. Look at me.
Okay,
Look at me.
then.
I'm the host now. So number 2 or number 3, we have to decide whether to put Atlanta or New York at number 3.
I think New York for me. I think
number 2,
3 or 2.
Number 2. Yeah, I think the next team is New York in my opinion. They've
because
already got
I think
such
everyone's
a solid...
high on Atlanta, but I think that New York is more proven.
Yes, exactly. I think Atlanta did really well getting into a 6th position last year, and there's still the potential that they could waver somewhere around that kind of level, even though they've made upgrades.
Yeah.
Gator and Hawk as your 2 main tanks they look great, but there's still the potential that might not work out.
Can we make this end of season rankings? Because
this is what we're doing.
End of season.
This is end of season.
They're not power rankings. Not power rankings.
They're not power rankings for where we think they're going to be immediately.
Yeah.
They're where we expect them to finish. At the end of season.
Okay. So New York Excelsior number 2.
I think we put them at number 2.
And I think it's very noteworthy that I think Atlanta and New York, they're going to benefit from being in the Atlantic division. And so I think they're going to get a lot of free wins and naturally end up number 2, number 3.
All right. I just realized to put Shock at number 1, but then I used a city-based for Atlanta.
Doesn't matter.
Good luck,
mate.
chat.
Doesn't matter. Okay, Shock, NYXL, Atlanta.
Yeah.
I feel good about that so far.
So I think the 4 to 7 and 8 is a bit up in the air. So I think we go back to, we had Shanghai, Fusion, Charge, and Titans. I think we go back to the lower part of the.
I think I want to go back lower as well. Then.
So before we had Valiant at 19. I think we all want to change that.
I wanted to change this last time we did the video.
I think we put Houston at 19.
You did.
I've heard rumors and tinglings from the Reddits. I think apparently Baby Bay and Super both came out recently and said the Valiant are good.
Yeah. And I've heard as well that
that's just keeping in line.
No.
That is Atlanta and Shock saying Valiant are good.
Yeah. No, but what are you talking about? We have way more insight than that. We're not analyzing based on a super Twitch clip. We have way more knowledge and information behind that.
I've leaked one thing last time we talked about the Valiant. I'm not gonna do it again.
Okay.
No need to leak it. I'm just setting you up that like we're actually smart.
Okay, sure.
That's why we have a
Let's
podcast.
go up
but here's the thing.
I want to put them at the top of the list of the Toronto down. I want to put them at 11 or 12.
So 12.
Get out of here.
What?
I want to put them. I want to go up.
No, I'll give you. I'll give him 13 or 14.
Tell me who was better than that team. And then Valiant.
So I want to start here though. I think people are talking too much about Scrimbucks and early season performance when you've got to think about the strength of this team overall. I think Chengdu is better than this team. I think Mayhem could potentially be better than this team.
Yeah, but Mayhem is freaking Chris, dude.
Yeah. Well, and this thingy team has got Valiant has got Rain, who's roughly the same level as Chris, I would say.
Yeah,
and
but they're
more
gravy.
unproven though than Chris. I think Chris
Yes,
has been bad,
yes,
and
that's
we've
true.
seen a lot
That's
of
true.
Chris.
That's true. Gig and McGravy though is where I just can't get my head past that. I just cannot get my head past Gig
Okay,
and
so
McGravy being a good
I'll
time
give them 14.
No, okay. I don't want to put them down. I want to go. Who's 19?
Who's 19th? I think
Outlaws or Dallas?
I would say
Outlaws.
Outlaws. I feel less good
Yeah.
about the Outlaws.
And then Dallas, right? What the?
No. Okay, I thought you ran out of ink.
Okay, yeah, Outlaws. So do we really think that both Outlaws and Dallas?
Wait, what are you doing?
What are you randomly writing in 17th?
No! What are you doing?
Dallas is 18th.
Are they?
No, have we decided?
I thought we agreed.
No.
I just said.
What about Toronto and Paris? Because I think Toronto and Paris are down in the Papaga.
What about
levels as
London?
well. London, I don't feel too bad about.
I've actually grown on London as well.
The reason I've grown on London is because it's a little bit like what you're saying about Chris. There are some players that we know are bad.
Yes.
And there are other players that we don't know where they are, but they're probably not all bad.
I think as well, like you put a team of Schwieglister, and then you go J-Mac Bernard.
Yeah, yeah.
Not bad.
It's okay. I mean, J-Mac's a big question mark.
Well, there are questions, but like I'm a huge believer in the fact that there are a lot of players in this league that have been here for the last 2 seasons that I'm expecting to go down 100%.
Yeah.
Well, I think picking up academy players and contenders players that really have a lot to prove, a lot of drive, I think they're gonna outperform these other players.
What about?
I would be down to put Paris at 18.
What about? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's either Dallas, Paris,
I want to put Dallas
or
at 18.
Toronto.
I would want to put Dallas at 18.
I would rather put Dallas. I think Dallas are going to do worse than Paris overall.
No, I see. I
also think that Toronto should be down there because I went back and looked over a bunch of VODs of like the players that we were a little unsure about the last time that we went through this.
Well, like Beast.
And Beast Halo is one of them, right? But Beast Halo also hasn't played in forever.
Yeah.
So that was actually quite a tough task. But he has
do you
played
believe in
occasionally.
the Flex Gods argument for hero pools with Toronto?
What, sorry?
The Flex Gods argument.
Oh,
like
as in...
Surefour, Nevix, Kariv.
A little bit.
Like-
I think that team is all really good, or not really good, but they're all average apart from Beast. But because Beast is the only player on that team who plays main tank, if he's bad, that is going to drop the team.
Nevix main tank.
I want to go Dallas, Paris, Toronto.
Dallas,
18,
Paris,
17,
Toronto,
16.
London.
No.
London, yes.
I'd rather go Paris.
Paris, Dallas?
No, Paris isn't 18th. I think
I don't-
Paris is 17th.
Their
I think
best
Dallas is
players
18th.
aren't even of age yet.
But this is a final season ranking.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
but that's...
it's like we're putting when it's not like we're putting them between like 8 and 9. We're putting
Yeah.
them between 17 and 18.
I agree with
Okay.
Custa. I think the next team is Dallas at number 18.
Agreed.
Can we persuade you, Jonathan?
Well, I'll give you this one. And then you'll promise me one back.
Oh, no way. No way.
I didn't sign that with the devil.
right.
And Dallas, and then we want to go Paris. Okay, because
Or
that's-
Toronto.
Oh,
Fuck.
that's so tough. I
That's a
actually
hard one,
don't
yeah.
know. The thing with Toronto is that I do believe in everything we said last time.
No, I'll put Toronto 17.
What, really?
I agree with that. I think
I don't know.
Paris actually have, especially seeing as we talked about the coaching staff. I think they do have a very
Yeah,
good
that's
coaching
true.
staff.
Oh, but they have no smite or Ben Best.
Yeah.
But I think with No Smite, they have great coaches. Surely they can talk some sense into No Smite.
They should be able to, right?
Theoretically.
No smite, please! Don't press W!
But the only thing that Toronto have to do is make Beast average, and they've got a potential playoff team, haven't they?
And I think that's actually, if we go into this hero pools
Or
argument,
play-in team.
I think Toronto is potentially one of the teams that's get the highest value from hero pools. I
definitely.
think they gain a lot. As you said, they have a very flexible team.
Paris really struggles with hero pools, I
Okay.
think, because they've got fundamental stuff to work on, the same as Outlaws and Dallas.
I got my final trump card.
Okay.
Paris travel schedule.
What is the Paris travel schedule?
I don't know. It's probably long. For the European team, right?
What a trump card. You sounded like Trump. Never mind a trump card.
There was a lot of promised things with no execution.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Yeah, put Paris 17.
Okay. Paris, then Toronto, then London. Is that how we're doing it? Where is Washington, by the way?
They're higher up.
I really feel worse about Washington.
I want to go back to their roster.
Okay.
Someone brought this up, and I feel like we've just given them too much credit.
We really have.
No.
We have given them way too much credit.
No. Sish Elivote.
I can't believe that Avast thinks this is a top 8 team, by the way.
Absurd.
That is absurd.
Yeah, but that's just because Avast sits in Discord and just talks to his assistant coach friends and talks about Scrimbox all day.
No, I think Washington are actually doing badly in terms of Scrimbox.
I've heard the rumors that they're also doing. Someone released a tweet recently. I assume they had some credit where they said Spark, Washington, and Dallas are the 3 teams that are expected to underperform.
I think that was Halo of Thoughts.
Halo of Thought. Okay,
yeah.
Well, sorry. Never mind.
Okay,
what I just said.
I have 4% of batteries, so can we hurry up?
Okay. I think, look at it, Arc and Aim God, I think...
It's better than London.
...is overhyped. No, overhyped. I think Elivote, Lulsish, overhyped. I think Corey... Great. Stratus, fine.
I feel worse about this team than I do about... I don't know, actually.
I want to put...
They may be just above Toronto. I think it might be like Toronto... No, I might feel better about Toronto. The big problem with Toronto is that I don't know what Beast is going to do.
I think this team struggles a lot, I think, from hero pools as well.
Yes, because I don't think they have any teamwork. I think they're bringing in 2 brand new tanks that they didn't play with at all in 2019, but were signed, so they're just stuck on the roster. I think Aim God is going to throw a hissy fit again, probably halfway through the season, because he's always struggled playing on mixed Korean and Western teams.
Yeah, but he was on Boston, for Christ's sake.
And the big reason that Avast rated them highly, I've just remembered, is because going into this meta, Corey and Stratus are good on those heroes, like we saw last year in Stage 4, where they were playing like Hangzhou and May.
No, I won't let you bump Toronto up that far again.
No, I don't want to bump Toronto up. I want to bump Washington down. But I think Washington should be at 15th. I think Toronto, then Washington.
Washington.
Toronto.
I think I'm good with that.
No, but what about Chris on Mayhem?
Oh, no, we haven't even... We also have London. We're bumping London up.
Yep.
Yeah, why are we bumping London up?
Dude, I feel better about London.
Okay, you put
It's difficult, isn't it?
This is a head case because it's just there's so many question marks, and it's because it's not even like they're similar question marks.
No,
it's
they're
like
totally different.
Does
questions.
London have a good team? Is Toronto washed? Is Washington just overhyped? Like they're all completely different things.
Hero pools. None of the teams knew that Hero pools was coming, so they didn't even build for it. So God knows how that's going to work.
Oh my! Okay,
all right.
We got to commit. We got to commit to something.
I think that
Toronto.
I know. Okay.
I think Washington.
No.
I agree.
What? This is not my end of season rankings anymore.
Okay, well, why do you think Toronto? I think Toronto gets such a boost from hero pools.
I agree, and I think that they do have a good.
Okay. I get it, and it's only because they're going to sign a new main tank.
I hope so. I actually do hope.
Did Toronto have they?
No, that's not a leak. It's just wishful thinking, mate. That is
that is wishful thinking. Because you can still sign. I don't know when the deadline is.
So Washington, Toronto. What are we doing? This just feels wrong.
Wait.
It's so against what any reasonable person thinks.
Have we just talked ourselves in circles again?
Why don't we put?
I think London
14, then Valiant at...
No, but Roar and Aim God, I mean, they're decent.
Wait, who else is at 13 usually? Mayhem. I think Valiant's better than Mayhem. I think you put Valiant... Okay, I think...
we haven't put Valiant down yet.
You fools! You walked right into my trap.
We didn't put Valiant down yet?
Of course, Valiant's going up the meters. Let's go.
How did the Valiant stonks rise this high?
Let's go. Stonks are going up. I got you, Mike.
Dude, write Valiant down right now.
No. Valiant
down right now.
Valiant is up here.
Write Valiant on that board immediately.
You're just in denial about you're going to have to get Valiant shaved into the side of your head.
Gig and McGravy!
Gig and McGravy! Let's go!
Tell me how you think Gig and McGravy are better than... Who are we even arguing against
Beast and Nevix!
Beast and Nevix. Oh my god. The problem is these tank lines are all over the place.
But that's not the thing. I think KSP, KSF is insane.
Well, it's pretty good, yeah.
And I think... Lastro is insane.
Range is
solid.
Like, you've never seen the man play.
No, Lastro did.
I think this team is better than 1650. I think they're definitely better than these three Three Muppets we're talking about in the middle here.
Okay, all right. So we've got Toronto, Washington, Valiant,
London.
and London.
And
These
do
are
we
the
want
four
to put
teams.
Mayhem in there as well?
No, I think Mayhem are better than all of those teams. I really do. I think the more I looked at the Mayhem roster, the more I feel pretty decent about it. Like the big problem with Mayhem is Chris. and honestly, if they just, I don't know, if they pull people out of the crowd to play instead of Chris, then I'll be fine. They'll do great. They'll make playoffs. They'll be good. Okay, we're losing it.
I think Washington is 16. Washington, Toronto, London, Valiant.
What if Florida Mayhem signs Red Shell?
I would watch that.
All right. Washington, write Washington down.
Washington
Write
at
them down.
16.
Write them down. Write them down.
What? Wait! What?
Why? What team do
Why?
you want
Why?
there?
Argue. Give me a reason why not to.
I want to put Valiant there.
No, fuck off. They're better than this.
Are they?
If we want to keep underestimating them, and then we can throw them at 16, Valiant will be happy, and when songs will rise when they crush through the early season.
I think we...
Okay, put Washington down. Put Washington down.
Yes!
Yes, do it, Washington.
That is gratification, clarification. Why is this not working? Why is this...
Is this Sharpie running out?
Maybe this is a sign. You're great at that.
Start scribbling anyway. Just start writing.
It was usually like...
Oh, there we go.
Oh!
There we go. Okay.
It worked.
Washington.
Washington.
Don't clip that.
I think we have to put
No.
Valiant
No.
next. Come on, these Valiant stonks are ridiculous. It's so
Valiant
much
or
weight
London?
in scrimbucks.
No, I don't care.
Pre-season
No,
scrimbucks.
I don't care about the scrimbucks. I think they actually have great plays in the roles that matter.
Explain to me which tanks in the Overwatch League are worse
I
than
think
Gig
Valiant are
and
better than
McGravy.
London.
No, here's you just raw players. If you look at them as they stand right now, I think I agree they're not that great. I would put them down here, and that is why everyone is harsh on them, and I accepted that. Okay, but the more I think about it, they have a great coaching staff. I really believe in that coaching staff. I've worked with every single one of those coaches, but I think this coaching staff works for this team. They have a lot of Western contenders players that are coming in that all they want to do. They have so much drive to prove themselves, and especially seeing as everyone's like disregarding them, they have so much to prove, and I think they're going to come out and they're going to do that. And I think KSF, KSP, Lastro, they're going to come and they're going to whip their dick out on the table, and then everyone's going to be like, we are overestimated.
Put London. Put London 15. London 15.
London,
Wait a second.
Toronto, Valiant.
Or Toronto.
Toronto. It's got to be
Toronto, London, Valiant.
Yeah.
Okay, done. You accept it.
You're going to put Valiant above London.
Yes. Wait, okay. They literally have the exact same problem, except we have scrimbucks.
No, I'd rather want...
Stonks are out.
No, I'd want Toronto over Valiant.
No, you ain't got... No way. No.
London?
Toronto, London, Valiant.
I think
London,
Be-
Valiant, Toronto.
London, Toronto, Valiant.
From what I watched of Beast and Gig, it seemed like Beast was worse than Gig.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's a 6-man roster.
And Gig isn't even the hard carry of Valiant.
No, he's
not. He just has to be solid.
But I would still take Nevix every time over McGravy, unless McGravy
I think McGravy's
is just,
unproven.
I like Nevix with gravy.
McGravy. Yeah, maybe he is unproven, but hasn't. I don't know.
I think you have a lot of unproven players, and that's where they're going to stand out. And
But so
especially
do
knowing the
London.
scrimbucks are behind them.
Oh, but you're putting so much weight in scrimbucks. It's like you're gonna look back at this at the end of the year and go,
I'm
"Oh
not
my
saying-
god, why did I believe in the scrimbucks?"
It's not like we're saying Valiant is like beating these other teams. They're beating Washington, Paris. We have scrimbucks against good teams.
Yeah.
They can't like. Obviously, they have stage issues.
Whose
because-
water is this? I'm drinking.
That's mine. Oh no! As long as you let me put Valiant at 13, thanks.
No!
Yes.
No!
Start from the bottom. Toronto.
London.
London.
London
Oh, maybe-
15.
yeah, maybe London.
London, Toronto, Valiant.
Okay.
London.
Welcome
honestly,
to the dark.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm sick of arguing with him. London, Toronto,
I
Valiant.
can't believe you put London
War
over
of
Washington.
attrition.
I can't
Why
believe
do we put
you
London
bullied
over
us
Washington?
into putting Valiant at 13.
Woo!
This was supposed to be
Let's
a better
go,
ranking.
baby.
Wait. How is Valiant 13? Valiant 14?
London, Toronto, Valiant. And then we're going to have to put Washington.
I think this is so unfair.
I want to put Valiant at 12.
No, I think this is so unfair. I think Toronto is better than Valiant.
Do you?
No.
Long term, not now, not Screambox now, but long term, I think Toronto.
I think long term, Valiant is much better than that.
Let's take a piece it apart then. What do you think the DPS line of Toronto is better than the DPS line of Valiant? You've got Surefour, you've got Agilities, and you've got Logics. Isn't there a fourth player?
It was Mangachu, but didn't he go to a 2-8?
Oh yeah, and then he got moved down. Yeah, you're right. So that is
okay. Toronto.
Okay, but Valiant might be better.
Those are three players that I think have been around. I think you have three.
Toronto.
Yeah.
I can't believe Toronto is up at 14.
I think you have to. I think the fact that they have so much versatility in their roster as well.
The amount of times
the problem with Toronto is Toronto could plummet if Beast is.
We put Washington at 13th.
Washington is already on the board at 16th.
Okay, or we put Mayhem at 13th and then we put Valiant at 12.
Fucking Chris, dude.
No, I think Mayhem. Okay, look at the Mayhem roster because I do want to talk about this. So Mayhem, for starters, are in the Atlantic Division, right? Which should give them easier matches than the Valiant.
True.
Does that still exist?
Yes, that still exists.
It's the pink logo. You missed it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, they've changed
what's the Atlantic Division?
The Atlantic Division is Toronto, Washington, Paris, London,
It's all the
Boston.
crap teams.
It's the bottom half of the table.
Yeah,
bro.
for some reason I thought it was different.
So take a look at the Florida Mayhem roster because as much as I was harsh on them, I've come around to it a bit because the issue that I had was I thought they kept too much of last year's losing roster and that they would not really be able to get out of the rut. But I think that Dallas and Outlaws both have this problem really badly. But really, when you look at the Mayhem, they don't even have that problem very, very badly at all.
Hey, do you want a stat, Sideshow?
Yeah, go on then.
Do you want a stat before we put Mayhem at number 13?
We're putting the Valiant
at the end of stage 3.
Yeah.
Florida were 2-19.
Yeah. No, they were garbage. They were absolutely garbage.
And so when all of these fuckboys tell me that they're high on the Mayhem and that they've proven themselves, you were 2-19 after stage 3 last year. No, and then you had dreadful. One winning stage.
No, they didn't even have a winning stage.
Where you went 4-3. They went 4-3 in stage 4.
I thought they were playing. Didn't they play garbage teams? Though?
Yeah,
they went 4-3 and played garbage teams. Well, and somehow they don't have anything to prove. And yeah, I get it. You watching this right now, judging me, you work for the Florida Mayhem, and you must defend your team on Twitter, and you must say, oh, my employer is great. I love my organization. I get it, right? You're playing the underdog story, but that's great for you, and so why do you not want to be an underdog? Instead say, we're going to embrace it. Wait, now I'm just double-crossing myself.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm just saying, you don't have a claim to be good, so just... Don't try to be good. Just take your underdog title.
Here's why I do think that they've got a fairly solid roster. So they're in the Atlantic Division. They've got a fairly easier strength of schedule anyway. This team has made some great additions. Yaki and Gangnam-jin are genuinely really good.
They're very good additions.
Gangnam-jin is really excellent. Yaki is pretty good. I mean, he's like a low-level candidate for Rookie of the Year. Yeah. I don't think he's going to be Rookie of the Year.
Whoa. That's very...
I watched some of his VODs as well, and I was actually impressed.
He's very good, but he's not as good as, like, Edison, Glister,
He's not your number
Sparkle.
one DPS.
He's not your number one DPS pick for Rookie of the Year, but it's possible that he could be.
Oh, so he's like the 15-1 odds candidate.
I want to counter this.
Yeah,
I want to counter this back to you with Chris and Gargoyle.
I don't think so. I actually went back and watched a bunch more VODs of Gargoyle as well, back when he played in Contenders. Because
that must have been so long ago. Though,
it was so long ago. Yeah, but you can't have it both ways, right?
True,
you can't say this guy hasn't played Heroes in a long time, and when he did play those Heroes, it was ages ago, because he hasn't had to play those Heroes. It's been impossible because the meta hasn't been that. But when you look back, he's been a very capable Zarya in the past in Goats. He's played D.Va a long time ago, and his D.Va was meh, but he might have improved at that. But he seems like the quintessential guy that can play a bunch of different heroes at an all right level. Whereas previously, I had because he rose to prominence in the GOATS meta alongside Karayan and DPI, I was of the opinion that it was more likely that Gargoyle was just had like a very good feel for playing the more DPS side heroes, stuff like Zarya and Roadhog.
Yeah.
Like DPS players are normally very good at those heroes. Off-tank players normally excel at D.Va and potentially Sigma. The ones that require more awareness, more of like a feel for the game, that kind of thing, not just your own mechanical ability. But I do think that now that we're in the era of hero pools, we're going to see those kind of heroes more often. I don't think we're going to get locked into a D.Va or Sigma only kind of meta.
Yeah.
And so I think Gargoyle will be very serviceable. I went and listed, just for my own benefit, I went and ranked all of the tanks, off-tanks, and support lines, just in my own head. Just to get a feel for like where people are.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time we say, oh, he's probably average, but actually when you list it out, they're like fucking bottom of the pack. Actually trash. But Gargoyle, I think, is somewhere around middle of the pack, just like a little bit under middle of the pack. I don't think he's going to be bad. And I think I was unfair to him previously. And I think
we've actually been bamboozled. Because I think that we had very legitimate reasons to crap on him last episode. And we went in pretty hard on Gargoyle and what we thought of him and our reasons why. And I think we had pretty good reasons. And then went on his stream, and he got a clip where he said that, oh, everyone just poops on Gargoyle. And so he bamboozled us and took our hot take and instead sided with the community for clout and... But essentially, there's.
But I think the key
did us
difference.
dirty.
But I think the key
I'm
difference.
I'm sad.
No, tell me.
No, but I think the key difference is the hero pools. If there was no hero pools, I would still be fairly low on Gargoyle, because I do think Gargoyle excels at the like DPS off tanks. Like I feel like he might struggle if we end up being in a D.Va only meta or potentially a Sigma only meta as well, because we've never seen the guy play Sigma, and that is. Sigma, I don't feel, is like a DPS off tank, whereas Roadhog and Zarya are. They're the ones where your mechanics can carry you. So I think he's like a mechanically gifted, but maybe not at like the highest level on D.Va and Sigma.
All right, can we put him at 13 now?
No, I think the Valiant should be there. I think Mayhem are a good team. They got Sire Player and Yaki, very, very good.
The Sire Player, very good.
If Sire Player can still keep up his mechanical skill whilst being on a good team, that guy's going to giga clap.
Yeah, I think the Sire Player has had the issue of he's never been on a good team. And I think you put him on a team surrounded with good players, I think he has potential. Like, okay, I'll concede Valiant at 13, Mayhem at 12.
Yeah, I don't even believe that you've managed to con us into putting Valiant at 13.
Woo! And the run ends there. I tried.
All right, there we go.
I tried, Mike.
We have finally finished the Valiant's rise up the power rankings.
Oh my god.
So then we've got Mayhem.
Sire Player is just like a Widow and McCree one trick.
Sire Player's a what, sorry?
Like a Widow and McCree one
trick. Didn't he pop off like crazy on Reaper?
Yeah,
against us.
He like leads the league in every metric on Reaper.
Yeah, but I think as long as he can play everything that just like you need to, like, he doesn't have to play the big brain maze or like Faraz. He just needs to play his role. And
what hit scan can he not play?
Can he play Tracer very well?
He previously did play Tracer when it was big in Apex. I don't know whether he'd be able to play it at the same kind of level as like Sabiobi and these kind of people. But I feel like everyone always goes back to Tracer because it was such a hero in the beginning of Overwatch.
But I think it's going to be big this season. I think Tracer is a very versatile character that can sort of fit into anything, especially with
things are banned.
Especially with the range increase to Tracer that they gave that no one's really sort of played with because of the current meta. I think you can just throw Tracer in and she'll be good. And you see it in ranked every now and then. Sometimes the Tracer just wins games if you can't shut it down.
Okay.
Great.
All right, where were we?
All right.
We're actually Chengdu.
Yeah. So the teams that we're looking at now, the kind
Chengdu, Hangzhou, Seoul, and Gladiators, maybe.
Yeah, we're probably getting into like the upper echelons, right? So we've gone through like our Papega division, and now we're getting into the teams that are properly middle of the pack, could make a shot.
I mean,
no one cares about these teams. They're not worth paying attention to because they won't do anything this season.
They're
so why do you care?
shots of making it
why
into
do
the
you
play.
care?
I think it's really interesting. I actually want to see where everyone ends up because I think it's so confusing to see it try and rank where everyone's going to be. Like, who's going to be the suckiest?
They don't
All right,
matter.
well, show the people where we're up to at the moment because they haven't even seen the whiteboard.
All right, just before I flip this, and you guys can't yell at me, I want to put Spark at 11.
You want to put Spark at 11?
Yes.
Oh my word! I don't think they can see that. You'll have to put it in front of us.
Can you see this?
Yeah. Okay. So
This should be your Tinder profile.
So should we start working from the top down now, and we'll meet in the middle?
No, I think we can get these 4 out pretty easy.
Do you think anyone can hear
pretty
you?
easy.
You are behind. You are behind the whiteboard. It's like it could not be more difficult for people to hear you. Okay, I think that Chengdu belong here, but I would be open to an argument that their recent additions and the fact that we're playing hero pools has now boosted them into the top 10. I could see an argument for Chengdu being top 10 now.
No, I think Hangzhou still deserves to be in the top 10 because they have a very formidable team. They're well-rounded. I mean, they have Gushui, Ria. I think they relied on a lot of good teamwork last year, especially in Ghosts and stuff, and I think they deserve to be top 10.
Who would go at 11?
Here's the spicy one.
Oh, it's the genuine leave.
I want to put Gladiators at 11.
Here's what I would like to do. I would genuinely like to put Gladiators at 11.
What?
I've had this argument with Jaws recently as well, because Jaws said the real idiots are the people that are power ranking Gladiators out of the top 5.
Yeah, well, he's a fucking play-by-play commentator.
He's not here right now, right?
Yeah, he's in the kitchen, I think. He's in the kitchen, I think.
The reason is because one of the big things, I'm casting the Gladiators as one of my first games, so I really went heavy on trying to look up VODs of Mirror and Jaru, because there's so much of the team relies on whether Mirror and Birdring can do well. Right?
And Jaru.
Yeah.
Yes, Jaru, but they've said Mirror said in an interview recently with Peak that it's going to be Mirror and Birdring, or at least back then when they did the interview, that was their intention of the starting DPS line. And because Birdring is such a who the hell knows, like genuinely who knows, he could go back to his former glory and be like a really beast.
No, there's no way. That's just wishful thinking. Like, he doesn't have the mental. Like, Birdring is the I'm trying to come up with words. He is the prime candidate for preseason scrim bait, because this guy doesn't have the mental to compete in this league anymore. And I'm sorry I'm saying it. No, it's not about the environment.
Who's their first game against?
Vancouver.
He's going to get boomed this season.
I think this is a team, you look at it is a classic.
Don't take the bait!
No, I think you look at this team, especially with OG as well, a player that has been known to have tilt and that kind of stuff. I think where this team plays depends a lot on how their first 5 to 6 games go. I think if they start struggling early, I think you'll see a lot of issues with this team.
Yeah, but India is sexy as hell, though.
I think this is a team where they need to develop that teamwork because they've got a big mishmash of new people coming in. I think the DPS line is weak. I was talking about this with ZP recently. I went back and watched a bunch of VODs of Mirror and Jaru, like I was saying to you. I wasn't impressed.
Really?
I wasn't impressed. And I thought that from little bits of Contenders games that I watched, I remembered times in which Mirror impressed me. I went back through and specifically tried to watch out for him and tried to look at his mechanics and stuff. Especially, he was playing a lot of Farah in his recent games and played a little bit of...
He's a huge ranked, what do they call it? Ranked
Hangzhou.
star.
Yeah,
ranked
big ranked star. I think that's where a lot of his reputation comes from.
I think ranked stars can pay off. And I think especially when you put him in an environment like this where you're surrounding him with players that have been in the scene for a long time, you can see great things from a player like Mirror. The question becomes, is this the environment to sort of do that?
See, what I think about this team is that I think they've done a really great job at establishing a team environment and a team structure. And I think that these players have really bonded with each other. I think OG in Space, yes, OG, he hasn't really fulfilled all of his talent as we wanted to last year. But I still think that him and Space could be a really deadly duo.
I agree.
I think Space is just incredible, and I think he carried Valiant for a long time when they had pretty crap main support players. And so I think that this team actually has potential to pop off. I think they have a great coaching staff as well. Say what you want about Deepay, but historically he has a pretty good results.
He's got results.
Yeah, they have FaZe, I think, used to coach for Angry Titans.
He's done very well in the past.
And they have an Australian coach who used to coach for Talon on Pacific.
That's FaZe.
Oh, sorry, no, I mixed them up. There's 2 F coaches.
Let's have a look. We'll scroll down because I remember FaZe and I can't remember the name.
Faustus used to coach for Angry Titans, I think.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Okay.
And then Curryshot, who like
Curry
Shaw. He has a bit of a brand and stuff to him because he used to be in League of Legends, and then he has a very outward like personality.
He's also
and that's where I think he gained some of his clout. But I think he's actually like a really good, smart person. I
he's
think
got a good reputation with the players.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
I think he is actually warranted, and I think he's a good coach. So I think the coaching staff combined with a great team atmosphere, and I think they have a lot of uncut gems here on this roster, but I think they could do well this season.
But the important thing is whether or not you think they're going to do better than other teams we're talking about here. Teams like Chengdu, teams like Spark, teams like Dynasty, for example.
I would put them at the top of that list.
Top? You think they're better than Dynasty?
Yes.
I do not agree.
I think
that's.
I think
you think this DPS line can even compete with Profit and Fits? Absolutely not.
Yes, but I know, like, my whole thing is, like, I don't need a match to match. I just need Bowering to play, like, a percentage of how good he once was, and then you have a player like Miro who actually shows what he has. I think the rest of his team is incredibly solid, and I think this is if you obviously take out the DPS lineup and, like, take away that question mark, I think they have an incredibly solid team, which should be top 6-ish. And a lot of these players are proven.
With this guy
You're going to enjoy it as well.
All right. What I don't understand, though, is how you can take the DPS away or like magic the idea. There are no teams from 11 to 1 who have big question marks.
Yes, there are. What do you mean?
Which teams have big question marks?
I have big question marks.
You literally just cited Chengdu Hunters.
Yeah, and we said Chengdu. Like, I think...
Do you think Chengdu have big question marks?
You just cited their 3 new additions as great players who will help that team.
I don't think that makes them significantly better than this team. I think what happens is Chengdu added a lot of question marks on top of their question marks, so they have a higher percentage chance of hitting something useful. But I don't think you can theoretically put them above this team, which I think is solid. And I think they should be at least in the top 8.
No, I think we get to veto you because you put Valiant at 13.
I always said that. If you think I'm wrong,
I want to put Chengdu at 11.
I would be happy with Chengdu at 11. I think that Chengdu will flourish in the hero pool kind of meta, and I think that they'll be able to get a lot of wins off different people.
So this is completely.
But I think they should be higher.
Yeah, I think they should be higher. That's why I'm trying to put Gladiators.
Okay, let's put Hangzhou.
I want to put Spark at 11.
So why do you want to put Spark down here?
I think that the chaotic nature of Chengdu really benefits them in a hero pool kind of meta. And I think that Hangzhou Spark just doesn't have the DPS players to compete with either of these teams. Well, not really citing the DPS player on Gladiators per se, but I think that Gladiators has a better team overall.
You think Gladiators has a better team overall? I mean,
Hangzhou.
Spark finished higher than Gladiators last year. Spark finished top 4.
This is a completely new team.
That's also GOATs as well. Like, you got to remember, we played 3/4 of the season playing GOATs, and Spark was good at GOATs. And that was, something that they probably played their best meta playing GOATs, I would say. So I think coming into this season where we're going into more chaos, I think... I might be talking my ass here, but I feel like when games went to chaos, Spark... kind of underwhelmed me, and they didn't adapt very well because they
were slow to adapt to every meta.
I remember we actually beat them in a regular season match, and then we lost to them in the stage playoffs. I think
that was stage 3.
That was stage 3, and I remember thinking, we're in the game. We were like, they don't know how to deal with this. We're just going to keep running with it until they deal with it, and then they couldn't work it out. And then they came to us in the stage playoffs. They had a set plan. They knew exactly what to do.
Yeah.
And they executed, and then we just didn't have the answer to that.
I do agree with that line of logic. The Spark were always struggling to adapt to metas. I think they're one of the teams that benefits the least from hero pools, but they at least have a solid team structure already there. And they finished 4th last season. Do you really think they're going to drop from 4th to 11th?
I think...
They haven't changed anything.
I agree it's a long shot, but I think... this is sort of my one outlier that I think is different from a lot of other people's things. I actually think Spark isn't going to be that good. I understand it's a little outrageous, but I think 11 is good.
I think a lot of community people have actually ranked Hangzhou 9, 10, 11.
Yeah, but I want to keep throwing them lower because I think they're definitely not going to be top 5. I think we can.
I think.
And I think the more I think about that team, and the more I think about when you talk about your Chengdus, your Souls, especially with what you were saying with the hero pools. I just don't think you can put Spark above Gladiators.
Are we missing? No, we're not missing.
Okay. I feel bad about it, but if you both want to put Spark at 11, I could handle that.
Yeah.
I really, really.
It's mostly like other teams improving rather than Hangzhou.
I do feel strongly though that the Gladiators have a strong chance of their DPS utterly letting them down this season.
Yeah.
I think that their DPS is going to get manhandled when they go up against everybody else in the top 10.
See, I feel really bad about boosting Chengdu up to number 9 if they're going to rely on people like Among and a new pickup from the Chinese scene. Sorry, pal. Like, you can't do that forever. Like, you're relying on Leave and Jinmu to do all of the work.
Yeah, but also, I mean, Eamon is genuinely very, very good at Wrecking Ball, a hero that thrives
What
in
if
chaos.
he gets banned in Hero Balls?
Yeah, if he does get banned, then they have to
rely
revert
on
to
new
different
pickups.
stuff. Yeah.
So I want to do Spark, Chengdu, Gladiators.
I mean, I want to do Gladiators, Chengdu, Spark.
You want to put Spark at 9?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't really care where Spark is because I think they have a large range to them. What I really feel strongly about is that Gladiators should not be rated too highly. I think there's if Birdring decides he doesn't want to play or just isn't that good or plays as he did last season, this team has no hit scan. Other than Mirror that plays a little bit of it.
I thought Mirror was good at hit scan. I thought
he mostly plays projectile stuff, but yeah, Mirror plays a little bit of it. I think he hasn't played much in a while though.
I think that this whole team is built on the linchpin of Birdring. I agree. Like, I think
what a risky linchpin.
Yeah.
Which is why
I'm making my own rankings. You guys are so hard to work with.
What do you want, Jonathan? Because we both said where
we've both made our.
No, well, the thing is, I think all your arguments make sense, and so that's why I really can't decide.
Yeah.
This is completely unrelated to gameplay, and it's not a great argument whatsoever. But I'm really down on Chinese teams who are heavily affected by the coronavirus, and I think that's going to impact how they play, and so that's why I'm sort of down on Chengdu Hunters. Is that I think they're actually I think they would have performed well above expectations if they got to play their homestands at the Chinese homestands, play locally in front of a crowd, all of that stuff. But like, we don't know how this situation is going to turn out, and I think it's really going to affect Chengdu heavily because they have a lot of Chinese players. It doesn't affect Hangzhou as much because they have Korean players. So like.
Yeah, true.
I think they'll be a bit more fine in that regard. And it's sort of unfair to say that. I realize that that's not a substantial claim by any means, and it's not really gameplay related. But I do think it's sort of... I'm leaning 11 or 10 on Chengdu because of that.
All right, let's put Chengdu in 11th then, shall we?
I agree with that. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm happy. Can we go... I still want to put Gladiators at 9 though.
Like,
I think
the thing about Chengdu is you can talk about all the positives about Jinmu all you want, but the fact of the matter is that he's he brings both sides to the table. Like, he's very chaotic good, but also very chaotic bad. So
he's chaotic neutral.
Yeah. So you get the good with the bad, and sometimes he just feeds. So I'm pretty happy with 11 for Chengdu.
Okay, let's write him in.
Oh, can you write the city?
Chengdu is the city.
Yeah, because he wrote Mayhem and Valiant, and then Toronto, London, Washington.
To be fair, that's also what I do. I just mix and match all the way through. Like,
OCD is...
I would never call Chengdu the Hunters.
Well, look at the first 3. I put Shock, which is their team name. Then I put NYXL, which is their entire name, sort of team name. And then I put Atlanta, which is the city.
Yeah, New York is such way more beautiful than NYXL.
Nah.
No, this just reminds me of Dota 2 hero.
Okay, all right, we're all losing it here. Number 10. Are we really going to put Spark?
I want to put Spark over Gladiators. I feel like my whole thing, like, I agree with your linchpin of Birdring. If Birdring fails,
I'm down
think
with that.
Team drops.
I'm actually down with that. I'm down with Gladiators, Hangzhou.
I'm happy to go on that round.
That works for me.
Well, you get it right, Gladiators, I suppose.
Yeah. I think the important thing for any fans to take away that are watching this as well is that the arguments that we're putting forward and like the ranges and the teams that we're debating about is more important than the final rankings of where we're putting them. Like, talking about Chengdu, Gladiator, Spark, as if they're all kind of a similar kind of level with like Mayhem, Valiant, Toronto, London, like all a similar kind of
Then
level.
why the hell are we making a ranking?
Well, because it's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's more fun having these arguments of who's better than who. Because if you wanted to make a tier list, this is very simple, right? Like, it's fairly simple to put people in a tier, but I think this is interesting about because this is the matchup that matters. Like Spark versus Gladiators, that's a very interesting matchup.
Here comes the next 4: Dynasty, Titans, Charge, and Fusion, and Shanghai. That's 5 teams, not 4.
Okay, but those are the last 5 teams.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah, you're actually right. Yeah. I want to put
Vancouver.
Vancouver in number 8.
No.
Vancouver.
Don't undersell Vancouver. Okay,
Vancouver.
I mean, you can talk shit about Fisher all you want, but the fact of the matter is he's a great main tank. We all only hate him
their coaching.
Because he left prematurely for the Gladiators and he was a child, didn't behave correctly, but like he is skilled.
He's incredibly skilled. Vancouver are either going to be top 3 or like 8th, 9th, 10th.
Yeah, so what? 8 is not fair. Then it's easier to put them at like 5 or 6. No. Like if we do the other teams first, then Vancouver is the perfect filler team.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that.
So who do you want to put at 8th then?
What are the teams that we've got again?
Shanghai, Fusion, Charge, Titans, and Dynasty.
Seoul. I want to put Seoul.
I want to put Charge down there. I was previously.
Oh my!
Wow!
We reverted. Wow!
Wow!
Chat. We got him.
Yeah, absolutely got me. The reason is that the Charge I was previously pretty high on, and then I didn't even realize that Shanghai was like a really good team, and so we had to put.
They're not. Don't worry.
We had to put the Charge at like 5th, right? We ranked them at 5th last time, or 6th or something.
Were 5th and
okay,
Charge was 6th.
No, yeah, wait, I got the ranking right there. Fusion 5, Shanghai 4, Charge 6.
Right, so we put them at 6th, but I feel much better about the Dynasty having looked into their roster and thought about it more, to the point where the Dynasty has now overtaken the Charge in my head.
Wait,
and so I think the Charge is good, but I keep bigging up other teams so that they overtake the Charge, and so you just have to drop them down the rankings.
I think I almost want to put Seoul in these bottom 14.
I disagree completely. I think the more I look at the Seoul roster,
did you file Seoul Dynasty as the winner of their division in our preseason rankings?
No.
Wait, they were in
Pacific East.
There was Shanghai's group. I put Shanghai.
Yeah, I put Shanghai as the winners.
Oh, I did not.
You put Seoul as the winners?
What?
Okay, I mean,
put Seoul up against Shanghai, roster to roster.
No, you're on this freaking hype train.
God, it's a very warranted hype train.
No, you're on this hype train, and you're like, whoa, we're on the freaking hype train, and I'm standing next to it, and I'm like, dudes, it's a shitty train.
If anyone was going to dislike Shanghai Dragons, it should be me. But I'm willing to put them up there because I think their roster is solid.
Why would you hate them?
They have certain coaching staff.
Who do they have in the coaching staff?
Moon.
So obviously that's it. Like, but I gotta say it. I think they have a good roster.
Yeah. Okay. Look at this. Look at this Seoul Dynasty.
I put Shanghai
roster.
number 8 in mine. So.
All right. Let's directly compare Seoul Dynasty and Shanghai then. Just as a little aside.
Yeah.
So tank line, right? You've got Stand One or Fearless, along with Void.
Yeah.
That's most likely going to be the tank line. We don't exactly know which main tank is going to play.
Yeah.
Versus probably Marvel and Michelle.
Yeah. I think Mitchell is like, it's him or Toby as the worst player on the team. But I still think that Marvel was incredibly good towards the latter half of last season. And I think Soul is a better tank line.
I think Void and Michelle I would probably call it an even playing field.
Yeah, I think Void is slightly better than Michelle, but pretty
I would put them around the same. Marvel, I think, definitely has the edge. He's just so consistent.
I also think that Void has peaked in terms of his overall career. And I think that Michelle can reach another level before he starts to go down.
I know that there's going to be a bunch of fans saying, I can't believe you rate Michelle lowly or stuff like that, because they always are. I think Michelle had his best games last year on Sombra. Yeah. I think that people are conflating. They do that thing that they do to Hopper, where they saw Hopper play Pharah and Tracer, and they're like, "Oh my god, the guy's so flexible."
Yeah. That's not fair at all.
Yeah. It's the same kind of stuff.
Because Hopper is still good on Diva and Zarya.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. But Michelle is pretty good on Diva, and the majority of his reputation inflation, I think, came from the Sombra stuff that he was also.
He's fun in the team. The reason I want to put above this, Shanghai has DM, Ding, Fitz, and
No,
No,
what?
Not Fitz.
not Fitz. Fleta and Lip. Okay,
Yeah.
they have 4 very, in my opinion, from what we've originally heard about Lip, is that these are very strong players. Like, yeah, you can say about Fleta being washed, but he doesn't even need to be great. Like, they have such a strong, diverse DPS line.
Fitz and Profit. Why are you arguing?
Dude,
Against
Fitz and Profit is very good.
Profit, yes. Fitz and Illicit down here. Fitz and Illicit, if you were to put Profit, Fitz and Illicit along next side the Shanghai DPS, Fitz and Illicit would be the bottom 2 DPS players that I would put in those lineups. So Profit would probably be at the top. But that's like Profit, you guys like Profit's like dragging those 2 kicking and screaming like up the leaderboards because you guys are putting them high.
I disagree because I think that you don't necessarily need 2 superstar DPS players. I think Profit and Fitz will work fantastically well because Profit requires a lot of resources to do his job and plays the superstar hero. And normally you have some kind of supportive DPS alongside in most compositions. Where the Shanghai Dragons have just got superstars everywhere.
And like, so how can you argue with that though? Like, yes, you trying to say that they're going to try and split their resources in different directions? Like,
no, I think Shanghai Dragons has a lot of specialists, right? Like DM's a hit scan specialist. Ding basically only plays like Farah and Hangzhou. Those are the only heroes that he's going to play on this team, basically. And then they've got Fleta is your all rounder, and then who's the final player? Lip. Well, actually, we don't even know that much about Lip, but he plays a bunch of different hit scan. I think he's a hit scan player, isn't he?
He played. I think he played a lot of Reaper, but I've heard a lot of great things coming out from him, like in the preseason. So like, I don't know a whole lot about him, but like, I think if anything, Shanghai has the edge just because of I think they have more proven players.
Back to the board. Charge, Fusion. Maybe.
No, Fusion's roster is just way too good.
Yeah.
Like I know that ZP is gonna tear himself.
No, sorry. I just want to get down with the ranking. I want to go somewhere.
Fusion are in a very weak division. They're in the Atlantic division. They should be absolutely able to farm.
Yeah, that's true.
They were a fairly crappy team last year, and they were still able to make playoffs because they just farmed the Atlantic division. Yeah. This team is gonna farm, and look at that roster. I mean, just look at it. That is a stacked to high heavens roster. Yeah. And even if like ZP thinks Carpe sucks and Sado sucks this year, like they have the replacements available for them.
Like I think they're 5th or 4th.
I think they're 5th, and I'm still.
But then who
Shanghai,
do you put 4th?
I want to put Shanghai.
No, you're not getting Shanghai, dude. You've been forcing your way with this ranking.
You mean my rankings?
Freaking day! You made us put Valiant at 13. Yeah. You made us put Gladiators at 10 rather than 11, which I agree with you.
What do you want? What do you want, Johnny?
You're sitting here like a child.
Do you want the pen?
No, you're just sitting here like a child, and you're just forcing your way, and you're just like, no, I still want to put Shanghai
at number 4. Child? You just threw a tantrum.
All right, who would you put at number 4, Jonathan?
I'm new to the desk. I get my way. I have a lot of Twitter followers.
All right, Johnny, who would you put at number 4?
It's Fusion over Vancouver, but ultimately
Vancouver.
Fusion,
Give me the pen back.
You want to put Fusion there. So it really is just a debate between Fusion and Shanghai, right?
Yes.
Because me and Custa think that Shanghai should probably be there.
No, it'd be what?
So
Fusion would be 4.
No, he would want to put Fusion, Vancouver, Shanghai.
I don't want to put Vancouver that high.
No.
I think
no. Can we start one spot at a time? 4.
Yeah. Number 4. I would want to put Shanghai, but I would be okay with Philadelphia Fusion.
I agree. But
even the argument of Atlantic Division, just like farming noob teams.
Yes, I think that farming noob teams is a big deal. Yeah. I mean, you've also got NYXL and Atlanta up there as well.
Yeah, that's true. But
it's NYXL, Atlanta.
There's a lot of free wins to go around.
Yeah, there's a lot of free wins to be farmed.
I think I will accept Fusion 4, but then I have to have Shanghai at 5. Yes. And then we can put Vancouver at 6, if you really want to put Vancouver that high, and then...
Yes. The Vancouver one, they shouldn't even be ranked, because we think they're a top 3 team until they shit the bed.
Yes.
I think, you know what? I can feel it in my bones that we've talked so much about Vancouver shitting the bed, they're just going to come out and dominate.
Wait.
They're just going to be fine all season long.
Let's put down teams. So 8, Charge.
Yeah, I think Charge needs to go at 8. I think as we talk much, I think with how much you've talked about Seoul, I would want to put Charge at 8, and then
I do feel like Charge a good team, but
Okay.
And
my question marks have started to arise with Happy and Eileen in the similar way to Spark, in that their hero pools are not enormous. I mean, they're pretty big, but
I think when you start
are
putting
they
them
all
against,
elite?
I think when you start putting them up against like all these other teams at this level, I think it's hard to
it's hard,
say
it
that
becomes
they're
hard
like
to justify.
superior, and that's the thing that's going
I
to.
will say, Shu,
Hey,
fantastic. I think Neptuno's going to be great. I think Krong is going to be really good. I highly rate that guy.
Are you about to talk yourself to throwing them high again?
No, I don't think so, because
No,
no matter
I
how
didn't
much I
even
talk
like
about them, I can't talk them above Dynasty, because I just think Dynasty are such a solid team. I think I got blindsided by
got
the idea that
1%
Dynasty
battery.
didn't fulfill their reputation.
Here's what I want. Okay, Charge. Seoul, Vancouver, Shanghai, but I will accept if you guys want to like lean more towards the Vancouver don't shit the bed, then we can put Vancouver at 5. But I think it's too high of a likelihood.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Honestly, Vancouver at 6 works for me, because I think
This
they're
is
going to
how
be
you handle a
somewhere
pen.
between 3 and 10. So yeah,
Wait, so I didn't listen because I.
Seoul at 7.
No, what? Seoul 6?
Seoul 6 over
You
Vancouver.
would put him over Shanghai. You would put Seoul over Shanghai.
He wants to put Seoul over Shanghai. I don't know. I think Seoul Shanghai is super close.
No.
Okay. I'll.
The problem
wait.
is, though,
So no, the
Toby.
thing is, I don't want to put Shanghai.
well.
I don't want to put Shanghai 5th.
I think they should be 5th.
I think they should be 5th.
I
And
think they should.
Vancouver.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Why
think
are
so.
you down on Vancouver?
I'm not down on Vancouver. Like I keep saying, they're either going to be top 3.
Actually, Shanghai is better.
I'm going to
because
follow
players.
them up on the exact same point I made last time. We are putting them as if they are runaway, and they are not runaway anymore.
Yeah.
We have a completely new management. We have a completely new coaching staff. We have now Bumper out of the roster. We have a completely new meta of something that, like, they are going to have to completely rebuild themselves with
God,
the
your
addition of
arguments
Fisher.
are so shit.
Great counter
I'm
argument.
putting
Fantastic
I'm putting
counter.
Shanghai at 5th.
The
Because
defense rests.
The good part about these rankings is if you tune into youtube.com/Overwatch League on February 8th, me and Custa will have our own rankings. to
Oh,
show on the
really?
show. So our
Nice.
individual rankings, and I can actually give you the real deal and show you what good rankings look like. So I don't really give a shit about these ones.
Oh, wow. Okay. He's just going to write in any
seemed,
old team.
That seemed very aggressive. Be there. I'm going to shit on him on live broadcast.
That will be your first popular Twitch clip ever.
Wow.
What do you mean? I can remember leaking something on Twitch recently. They got a lot of views.
Never happened. Never happened. All right. Number 6, Vancouver. Number 7, Dynasty. Let's get it done.
Don't say it. It's Seoul.
Okay. Seoul, Vancouver, whatever you want to call them. All right. So we have so let's show the people our rankings at the end
We
of
the
this.
people.
Oh well, that was
My God.
shit at you.
That's it. Those Vancouver.
All right. Just pop it in front of you. Put it in front of your mic so you can still talk.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus.
Okay. Here we go.
You can't
So-
see me, chat, but I'm here.
This is what we've
No, never mind.
what? This is what we've decided to go with in the end. These are the final rankings. of-
Plat chat, not mine. They're Plat chats.
Oh my! He's backing out on us.
Yeah, the Plat Chat Power Rankings. So this is where we think it's reasonable to expect teams to finish at the end of
Reasonable.
this season.
Roughly.
Reasonable apart from Valiant, who we were just
Roughly.
browbeaten into putting the Valiant
Oh
higher.
yeah. Okay, that's because they're gonna finish higher than 13th.
Oh my God. All right, well, any final
Wait,
words?
wait, what's the bet for you to shave?
If
Valiant.
Valiant finishes top 10 or higher, if they finish top 10,
Yeah,
Sideshow has to shave the Valiant logo in the side of his head.
yeah. And if they finish...
20th.
Oh my
You
God,
took
what
a
a bad
terrible
bet.
bet.
What a terrible
What
bet.
an awful bet. If they finish 20th, you shave the Overwatch logo in the back of your head.
Yes.
I've been scam-arsed. Absolutely scam-arsed.
I've got them.
All right, well, that's the Plat Chat Power Rankings
Yep.
then. We'll be returning to normal Plat Chat at some point. But for now, we'll bid you adieu, and you can all get really angry at these power rankings.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, but if you get angry at them, make sure you retweet and like them first so you can get other people upset, because then we get more
Exactly.
views and we get more of that Skrilla.
That's
Because it's all about the sponsorships and we're getting some.
Yeah, that's really important. All right, we'll see you in a bit. Bye-bye.
See ya.